Well, I'm getting ready for my bow hunt here in Kansas. I'm out in the yard, shooting some shots. I want to make sure everything's dialed in before I go out for this afternoon. That way I can be confident once we get on stand. So, the weather's cold. It should be perfect for these November whitetails, and I really couldn't be more excited. So this area of Kansas is pretty cool because it's not flat, just cornfield Kansas that you would think of. There's a little bit of topography, the rolling hills, there's some breaks down in some drainages. It's nothing significant, but it's almost perfect for whitetails because you've got crops like milo, alfalfa planted up on the farm fields, and then down in these little drainages, they're timbered. They've got a lot of cedar trees, and it's great thermal cover for the whitetails, so they can travel the drainages, feeding the crop fields, and really they've got everything they need in this type of habitat.
Rub. I can see at least 4 rubs from here. One thing Dr. Kroll taught me was that if you can find rub lines, you can map out a buck's travel route, and that makes sense because we got a food source here. I know there's thermal cover up there, winter thermal cover for bedding. There's plenty of buck sign in here, and we got trails coming through here. This is definitely a contender depending on what else we find. This is probably some of the better sign on the property, at least fresh buck sign.
Bow hunting just adds another element of challenge to pursuing whitetails. A big old whitetail is not easy to kill whether you have a gun or a bow. So deciding to do it with a bow is just adding to the challenge, adding to the pursuit. Instead of saying, man, this is a really big, cool food source, I can shoot 300 yards, this is where I want to set up, you need to go from here's the food source, here's the bedding, here's the travel corridor. I need to find the spot within the spot to focus on to kill this big buck. I don't just need him close, I don't just need to see him. I need to see him within 40 yards, preferably within 25, and I need to get a clear shot to kill him. All right, well, we're getting ready to go in for our afternoon hunt. It's fairly early and we just finished scouting, but I'm going in here to this little place right here. We've got a double set behind these hay bales where this marker is. And this morning I got 2 trail camera pictures of nice bucks in there. So what we're gonna do is go in there, we're gonna stay in there until dark, and hopefully one of these deer will come by.
North American Whitetail is brought to you by Ozonics, by SIG Electro-Optics, and by Taurus.
When you're hunting whitetails in the Midwest in mid-November, you're hunting rutting whitetails, and bucks, basically, that's why when we hunted, we were down in a drainage in the timber where deer would feel safe walking almost any time of the day. It's kind of a pinch point. We found a narrow spot in the timber. We didn't want some big wide sea of timber. We wanted somewhere where the movement would be neck down. The deer are gonna come right by us within bow range if we see them.
All right, well, we had to change plans. I got up in that tree stand, and it's just set up more for someone who's right-handed, and I'm left-handed. And that wind was blowing us around too. So when we were getting in the tree, we saw a potential shooter. I really don't know what he was. Come right through here. This is a little rut funnel, so I was tucked in here on the ground. I made a quick brush blind, and we're probably gonna get really aggressive and cool and run and rattle tonight. It's pretty high risk, but we're out of the wind and bucks are clearly moving through here.
The thing about whitetail hunting Kansas is it could be the best hunt of your life, it could be the longest hunt of your life, it could be the most boring hunt of your life. This is the land of giants. This is the land of big, mature whitetail deer, and they could literally pop out at any second. It could be first thing in the morning, noon, right at dark. But they're not behind every tree, so you still have to work for it. The biggest thing when you're bow hunting mature whitetails is you have to be prepared to fail. Not only prepared to fail, but accepting a failure. And I missed a deer, and if you can persevere through that and learn to just enjoy it, smile and laugh at the failure, and then learn from it, when success does come, it will be a lot sweeter.
All I can do is smile and shake my head, because we came in here and set up on the ground, and he just popped out and came through these trees, and I was ranging, and he came into an opening, and I shot him for 40. I sailed it right over his back, and I think he was probably closer to like 35, maybe even like 33. And, I mean, it was a cool encounter. It sucks I missed, but it's November in Kansas. How fun is this? This is like the coolest thing ever, hunting from the ground.
I bombed right into the timber, the deepest cover I could find, where I had the freshest buck sign and the best buck intel through my trail cameras. So it was risky. I never had a good wind. I was always hunting marginal wind. I got winded, I got seen. But at the end of the day, I think this is the time of year where you risk it all. You persevere, you just keep pushing, and you're gonna fail, you're gonna keep failing. But when it does come together, it's gonna be awesome. We had set that spot 3 times in a row, and it was working great because it was a little ground blind with a little bank behind us. So we had good concealment. The deer, they may travel that bank, but they were always coming down into this creek bottom and just running the timber looking for does. And that's what every buck we had seen did.
We just had a really heartbreaking encounter. We heard some leaves crunching, and we've had deer come from behind us, but they usually come this way and then loop down. For whatever reason, this buck came right there, and he was like 4 yards behind us. He's a definite shooter, and he just knew something wasn't right. He bumped off, and then I think he was going to come back, and I was getting my bow up, and he saw me and left. So it sucks, but it's still early, so hopefully we can get something going.
About 10 minutes later, I'm sitting in the blind, and I hear again the crunch, 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 crunch. And it's another deer coming from the exact same spot where that first buck came. We just don't move. That deer turns, walks right where the other buck spooked to, but this is where he changed. He stopped, he started working a scrape and raking a tree, making a rub. He comes down this draw off that bank, and there's no shot. He's definitely within 30 yards, but there's just clearly no shot. And he's walking, and he's getting ready to come into the shooting lane. I decide to draw early, and as soon as I draw, my coat makes a scratch, and he pegs me. And I'm thinking, yep, it's over. I'm not getting a shot at this deer.
North American Whitetail is brought to you by Wild Tree Nurseries, by Browning Clothing, and by Ram Trucks.
He's walking, and he's getting ready to come into the shooting lane. I decide to draw early, and as soon as I draw, my coat makes a scratch, and he pegs me. And I'm thinking, yep, it's over. I'm not getting a shot at this deer. He's about 26 yards away, and I wanted a good, clean shot, but he was already on edge, and I didn't want to spook him. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna shoot him on the move.
I'm all jacked up right now. That big mature one buck came in and he just looked cool. He's a big mature deer. And he was over here making a rub. And he came out here and then heard me draw. And then he stepped out and I took the shot. He ran hard and looked like he was struggling, and I thought I saw blood come out. The shot looked like it was a lung shot. Found my arrow. We definitely got to pass through. It doesn't smell like gut. We got some good bright red blood on there. It's hard to tell if it's got bubbles in it or not, because I think it's got bubbles in it there. Yeah, it's a very dirty arrow because it hit the ground, but I'm gonna go ahead and just shove this in the ground for now and maybe try and locate some blood, but I'm still not ready to push this deer or look yet. I just want to make sure we get a good foundation for when we do track.
I felt good about that shot. I did think it was a little back and high, but as he ran away, I could see the entrance wound. I could see a little bit of blood. Like, okay, that's probably a lung shot. We're not going to find great blood immediately, which we didn't because it was a high lung. It takes a while for that wound to really spread and spray blood. But as he ran away and I could see him struggling, I knew that that was a dead deer walking. I don't think you should pursue a deer under 30 minutes when you're bow hunting. When you're running out of daylight, that gets tricky because you want to pick up first blood. But since I was so confident and we had the benefit of daylight, 30, 40 minutes was plenty of time.
He's down. He's laying up there. 50 yards in the open.
Going up on a buck that you've just killed successfully with a cool plan and strategy and you're relentless in your pursuit is just a surreal collection of emotions. Just really can't put words into it. It is gratitude, happiness, and excitement all in one.
It's big. He's broke, but he's a big mature Kansas deer. Oh my gosh. What a toad of a deer. He was quartering to me a little bit. My exit's a little further back than my entrance, but oh man, he broke. This looks like it's been broke a while, but my gosh.
I want to shoot the biggest, most mature whitetail I can find, whether that's big body, big rack, it doesn't matter. I want to kill a big old deer. That's the hardest deer in the woods to fool, especially on the ground with a bow. The deer I shot, he was a big, old, mature deer, but he broke half his rack off. And some people would pass him, and that's okay. I understand it. We love the antlers as much as we love the meat. But for me, just to get within bow range of that giant was like a big, big success. It doesn't matter what's on top of his head at the end of the day. It's just a huge accomplishment for me, especially on a DIY bow hunt from the ground.